I travel a lot for work, mostly short-term contracts fixing industrial kitchen equipment. Last winter, I got sent to a small town I'd never heard of. The kind of place where the streets are empty after dark and even the gas stations close early. My company booked me into a roadside motel just off the highway. It was already dark when I got there. The parking lot had only 3 cars, and the office lights flickered like they hadn't been changed in years. The man at the front desk barely looked at me while I checked in. He slid the key across the counter and said, "Lock your door. Don't open it for anyone." Then he went back to staring at the TV behind them like the conversation was over. I remember thinking it was a weird thing to say, but I was tired from driving all day and didn't feel like asking questions. My room was at the far end of the building. As I walked toward it, I noticed the car parked with its engine running. The headlights were off, but I could see someone sitting inside. They didn't move when I walked past, didn't turn their head, just sat there. I unlocked my door, stepped inside, and locked it behind me right away. The room was clean enough, but old. The kind of place where everything looks like it's been there for decades. I ate some takeout, watched videos on my phone, and eventually lay down. Around 11, I heard footsteps outside. At first, it didn't bother me. It was a motel, people come and go. But then the steps slowed down and stopped right outside my door. I waited, expecting a knock. Nothing came. After a few seconds, the footsteps continued, fading away. I tried to ignore it, but maybe 10 minutes later, I heard them again. Same slow pace, same stop right outside my door. This time, I got up and looked through the peephole. There was no one there. The walkway was empty. I stood there for a while trying to listen, but everything went quiet. Eventually, I went back to bed, telling myself it was just someone heading to another room. Sometime later, I woke up to a soft knock. 3 taps, evenly spaced. I didn't move. A few seconds passed, and then the same 3 knocks came again. I got out of bed slowly and walked to the door. My chest felt tight for no real reason. I looked through the peephole. No one. The same empty walkway, same dim lights. That's when I noticed something I hadn't before. The peephole view didn't show the ground directly in front of the door. Someone could be standing just below it, and I wouldn't see them. I stepped back from the door immediately. A minute later, I heard something faint, not knocking this time, scraping, like metal lightly dragging across metal. It was coming from the door handle. I froze. The handle didn't turn, but the sound kept going for a few seconds before stopping. I grabbed my phone and sat on the edge of the bed, listening. Everything went quiet again. I don't know how much time passed before I heard it again, this time at the window. A soft tap. Then another. Slow, deliberate. I turned my head just enough to look. The curtain was fully closed, but I could see the fabric shift slightly, like something brushed against it from the outside. Then came the sound of a fingernail dragging down the glass. Long, slow, intentional. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. My phone was already in my hand, and I was seconds away from calling 911 when I heard something else. The room next to mine. A door opening. But I hadn't seen anyone check into that room. No car, no lights, nothing. The door opened slowly, then shut just as quietly. After that, I heard movement through the wall. Not normal movement, not someone unpacking or walking around. It sounded careful, like whoever was in there didn't want to make a sound. Then came a single dull thud against the wall behind my bed. I flinched. A few seconds later, another thud. Lower this time, like they were testing different spots. I stood up and backed away from the wall. That's when I heard my own doorknob move, just slightly. A soft click. I stared at it, waiting for it to turn. It didn't. Instead, the knocking started again. 3 slow taps. Same pattern as before. At the same time, I heard something else at the window, and movement in the room next door. It wasn't just one person. I finally called 911 and whispered everything I could. The dispatcher told me to stay quiet and stay on the line. While I was on the call, the bathroom window rattled. It was small, high up on the wall, and frosted. I hadn't even thought about it before. But now it was moving, not shaking, opening, just slightly. I ran into the bathroom and pushed it shut with both hands. Something on the other side pushed back once, not hard, but enough for me to feel it. I locked it and stepped away. The dispatcher said officers were close. Outside, I could hear footsteps, more than one set, moving quickly now. Then silence. A few seconds later, bright headlights filled the room through the curtain. And just like that, everything stopped. The police arrived and checked the area. They didn't find anyone, but they did find pry marks on my door handle. And the screen from the bathroom window had been removed and left on the ground. The room next to mine was unlocked. Empty. No sign of anyone staying there. Before I left, one of the officers pulled me aside and asked if I had just arrived that day. I said yes. He nodded and told me I wasn't the first person to report something like this at that motel. Always people traveling alone, always at night. Nothing ever stolen, no one ever caught. I didn't stay another night. I packed everything and left before sunrise. What still bothers me isn't what happened while I was there. It's the feeling that whoever it was knew exactly when I arrived.